Hello students, today we are going to start chapter 7, Early History of Deccan and South India. In this chapter you will study about megalith culture in South India, early history of the Deccan and South India, the Cholas, the Pandyas and the Cheras in South India, society, religion and occupation, the Deccan and the northern kingdoms, the Shungas, the Kanvas and the Satavahanas. Megalith culture in South India. While the rituals and sacrifices were being more and more elaborate in many parts of North India during and after the later Vedic period, a new type of culture was being developed in Deccan and South India. Archaeologists have found some burial sites at a number of places called megalithic culture. The main centers of megalith culture were spread over Deccan and South India till the 2nd century BC. This religion was the home of the people who buried their dead people in graves and erected big places of stones called megaliths around the graves. So they were known as megalith builders. Large number of huge stone monuments called the megaliths have been found mostly in burial or grave areas. Very often the entire site was marked by placing huge round stones in circle. These stone circles were the first indication of the development of the megalithic culture in South India. Do you know the differences in the mortuary practices indicate that the megalithic population of South India was organized into a ranked society. The remains of skeletons of that period show that the megalith people had a strong build with broad bones, thick skulls and protruding teeth. The discovery of the remains of pottery and iron objects at the burial sites indicate that megalithic people believed in life after death. This is the image of megalithic iron tools and this is the image of megalithic burial site. The sites of many places in the Deccan and the South India along with Khalpa, Naikund, Maurjhari in Maharashtra and Brahmagiri, Halur, Hardanhalli, Takal Ghat and Maski indicate that man believed in life after death. This is the image of megalithic sites in India. Earlier the archaeologists believed that the megalith people were nomadic hunters and food gatherers. But the discovery of axe, hammer, plowshare and sickle revealed that they were agriculturists and grew ragi and paddy in small fields on hill slopes as the plains were covered with thick forest. Many weapons like dagger, spear, knife and sword were also used by the megalithic people. A trident, trishul, has also been discovered. The discovery of iron tools proved that the megalith people were the first iron users of South India. They used it to make weapons and utensils also. The remains of pottery indicate that they were well baked in fire, having shiny polish and were of black and red colors. The pottery pieces have fine inscriptions which may be the trademark of the potter. The culture, this is the image of red polished ware at megalithic site. The culture of megalith people closely resembled the culture of Ireland. The ancestors of Maratha, Kannada, Tamil and Telugu were the megalith people. It may be possible that they came from West Asia through sea routes. Do you know? In spite of the use of the iron, the megalith people did not attempt to clear the forest. Early history of the Deccan and South India. The Deccan was known as Dakshinapath in earlier times. It was to the south of Vindhyas mountain and Narmada river. The Satavahanas emerged as powerful kingdom in the Deccan and were highly influenced by the political system of Mauryas. Their rule continued for about 400 years from 3rd century BC to 1st century BC. This is the map showing Satavahana kingdom on Indian map. King Semuka was the founder of the Satavahana kingdom. Gautami Putra Satkarni was the greatest Satavahana ruler. He extended the Satavahana kingdom by conquering large territories. His son Vasishtha Putra Pulumavi set up his capital at Pratisthana, now Pathan at Maharashtra. Yojna Sari was the last great ruler of Satavahana dynasty. Do you know? Tamil poems presented by poets at the Sangam's assemblies describe the events and conditions of that time. They were compiled into Sangam literature. 3 Sangams were held at Madurai over a period of 3 to 4 centuries. The Satavahana rulers believed in the divine powers of the king. They treated the king as God. They worshipped Shiva and Vishnu. Many Buddhist chaityas, temples and viharas, monasteries were also built during this period. The rock-cut Chaitya Hall cave at Karle in Pune, it is a fine example of cave architecture. They also built beautiful stupas. The stupa at Amravati has been carved depicting scenes from the life of Buddha. The Satvana rulers divided territory into provinces for efficient administration. They built roads and ships to encourage internal and external trade. They traded in wire, copper, tin, precious stones, etc. They had trade relations with Rome, Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Burma and Malaysia and Malaya. The great empire came to an end in 220 AD. It came into the hands of the Rashtrakutas in Maharashtra, the Pallavas in Kanchi and the Ikshvakus in the Andhra region. South India. The territory of the south of river Krishna and river Tungabhadra extending up to Kanyakumari is known as South India or Carnatic region. During the later Meghalith period, three powerful kingdoms, the Cholas, the Pandyas and the Cheras, emerged in South India. Sangam literature, Ashoka's inscription, the Mahabharata, Jataka stories and the travel accounts of foreign travelers are the sources of information about this period. The Cholas. The Cholas or Chola Mandala ruled over South India between Pennar and Velar rivers. Their extent were always changing due to defeats and victories from neighboring countries. The Cholas set up their kingdom in Kaveripatnam, but they shifted to Tanjore and Gangaikonda Cholapuram. Chola king Karikala defeated the Cheras and Pandyas. He built a strong army and navy. A royal patronage to Tamil literature was given by him. He followed Vedic religion. His successors were weak and were defeated by the Cheras, Pandyas and Pallavas. Do you know, King Karikala brought 12,000 prisoners of war from Sri Lanka and forced them to build a dam at river Kaveri. Karikala's foot was burnt and was black, so he was called Karikala. The Pandyas? The kingdom of Pandyas was limited to southern eastern part and southernmost part of Indian peninsula. Madurai was its capital. Nedunjelian was the most famous king of Pandya dynasty. They had trade relations with Rome. The trade of pearl was developed by the Pandyas. The Sangam assemblies held at Madurai during Pandya rule proved that they were great patrons of literature. In 11th century AD, the Chola king Pranantaka first captured Madurai and defeated the Pandyas. Map of Chola, Pandya and Chera kingdom. The Cheras. The Chera kingdom or Kerala Putra consists of the narrow strip of land between the Arabian Sea and Western Ghat over Malabar, Cochin and Travancore, parts of modern Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Vanji was its capital. Nedunjeral and Sengutavan were two great rulers of the Chera dynasty. The Cheras had trade relations with Rome and Egypt. Society and religion. The South Indian society was also caste-ridden like that of North India. This is the map of Pandya's Nayaka shrine. Pandya Nayaka shrine. The Brahmins and Kshatriyas dominated the other castes. The temples were the main centers of administration, cultural activities, meeting, etc. Large piece of land was donated to temples by the king. Lord Vishnu was worshipped. People of coastal areas worshipped Lord Murugan as sea god. It was also known as Kartikeya. South Indian people loved music, dance and poetry. They celebrated fairs and festivals in their leisure time. Occupation. Agriculture was the main occupation of the people. They used plowshare, sickle and some other tools for cultivation. They grew rice, pulses, sugarcane, spices, etc. Many canals were dug for irrigation. Land revenue and trade were the most important sources of state income. All the three kingdoms had trade relations with Malaya, Arabia, Egypt, Rome and China. Small merchants lived along the coast. Muziris, Kaveripatnam, Korkal were the important trade centers of the Cholas, Pandyas and Cheras. Pearl, precious stones, textiles and ivory were the main items for trade. The foreign traders brought copper, tin, glass, wire, gold and silver to India. Do you know the trade contacts help in the spread of Indian culture in the countries of Southeast Asia, the Deccan and the Northern Kingdom. Ashoka died in 232 BC. Ashoka's successors were weak and inefficient. In the absence of a strong king, the provincial ruler Brihadrath was killed by his army commander Pushyamitra Shunga. In this way, the Shunga dynasty was established in North India. The Shunga dynasty, 185 BC to 73 BC. Pushyamitra Shunga was a powerful and brave ruler. Besides, there were 9 other Shunga kings. Pushyamitra defeated a famous Greek invader Menander in 155 BC and pushed him out of his territory. The Shunga dynasty ruled for about 112 years. The last Shunga king was Devbhuti, who was killed by his minister Vasudev Kanva in 73 BC. The Kanva dynasty, 73 BC to 28 BC. Vasudev Kanva was the founder of the Kanva dynasty. This dynasty lasted for about 45 years. The last Kanva king killed by the Satvana or the Andhra king, Simuka. These dynasties followed Brahmanical religion, so they encouraged Vedic rites and also performed Vedic sacrifices like the Ashwamedha Yagna. Due to various revolts toward the end of the rule of the Shunga and Kanva dynasties, their kingdom was reduced to the region around Magad. The Satvanas, 28 BC to AD to 25. The Satvanas were the most important successors of the Mauryas in the Deccan. Gautami Putra Sri Satkarni was the most important ruler of this dynasty. He ruled between AD 106 and AD 130. His kingdom covered the upper Godavari valley, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra, Gujarat, Kathiawad, North Konkan, Berar, Malwa and the northern parts of Tamil Nadu. His mother's name was Gautami Balashri. Sri Satkarni and the other Satvana rulers were known as the Lord leading to the south. The term was also used for the entire southern region. Continuous warfare, especially against the Sakas, gradually weakened the Satvana. The provincial governors declared themselves independent and thus the empire broke up into many new kingdoms. Now students, let's sum up this chapter. First, the main center of Meghalith culture were the Deccan and South India. The discovery of iron tools proves that the Meghalith people were the first iron users of South India. In spite of the use of iron, the Meghalith people did not attempt to clear the forest. The Deccan was known as Dakshinapath in earlier times. 3 Sangams were held at Madurai over a period of 3 to 4 centuries. King Simuka was the founder of the Satvana kingdom. The Satvana rulers divided territory into provinces for efficient administration. The territory in the south of river Krishna and river Tungabhadra, extending up to Kanyakumari, is known as South India. The Cholas or Chola Mandala ruled over South India between Pennar and Velar rivers. Agriculture was the main occupation of the people. The trade contacts helped in the spread of Indian culture in the countries of Southeast Asia. Thank you students. Let's meet in the next class.